Hi, good morning, Unity Church of Temple. We're glad you're with us this morning. We're going to be doing something a little different today. Rather than just an audio service, we're going to put together audio and video. See how you like that. So let us know what you think. First, we're going to start off with a song by Stowe Good and Karen Taylor Daly, who are two female artists. If you ever have a chance to hear them as they pass through Austin, be sure and go because they're just phenomenal. They're two of my favorites. So sit back for a moment and listen to the music and the words of the song from these two beautiful women.
L.R. Nost says, "Do not be dismayed by the brokenness of this world. All things break, and all things can be mended. Not with time, as they say, but with intention."
So go, love intentionally, extravagantly, unconditionally. The broken world waits in darkness for the light that is you.
So many crying in the darkness, anger and hate are building walls. In the shadow of the heartless, blind to what connects us all, this broken world awaits the light that is you, the light that is you. We're all looking for a savior who'll turn the darkness into dawn. But when we join hands with our neighbor, we become that beacon shining on. This broken world awaits the light that is you. Are the light. You are the light. We are not entering darkness. We are exiting the room. Find your wisdom in the silence. That's where you'll find your voice. When we choose kindness over violence, oh, love becomes our only choice. This broken world awaits the light. We are the light. You and me now. We are the light. Keep shining on. We are the light. Shining on. We are not entering the tomb. We are exiting the.
Normally on Sunday mornings, we have our prayer chaplains at the back of the room, willing and ready to pray with us during service and after service. However, since we are meeting virtually, we can't go up to them and have them pray with us. So instead, what we have done is we have set up a separate prayer request email that is up on your screen right now, prayer requests at unityoftemple.org. Prayer.requests at unityoftemple.org. simply send an email, and the Unity of Temple prayer chaplains will hold the request and prayer and then send it on to Silent Unity. Know, beloved, that you are held in the highest manner during this time of transition, during this time of change, during this time of mindfulness and being together. So please send in your prayer requests to prayer.requests@unityoftemple.org.
Sunday, April 26, 2020. Release. I release all that does not contribute to my highest good. John's Gospel tells of Jesus restoring life to his friend Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days. As Jesus cries, "Lazarus, come out!" his friend emerges from the tomb, burial cloth still covering his face and wrapped around his hands and feet. Jesus says to those who have gathered, "Unbind him and let him go." Even after a spiritual resurrection, I may remain bound, like Lazarus, by thoughts, ideas, feelings, or habits that keep me from the full experience of freedom. Through my divine power of elimination, I release negative feelings, dissolve error thoughts, and free myself from habits and actions that do not serve my highest good. I am no longer bound, I am free. The dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." John chapter 11, verse 44. Unity Church of Temple is a spiritual community inspiring people to develop their Christ-like capacities, serving with unconditional love to assist in the enlightenment of humankind.
Let's open in prayer. Father, Mother God, we've come together this morning to celebrate and to connect. We connect as one, knowing that we are indeed united in mind, heart, and spirit. We're together as a community of like-minded individuals who celebrate the power and the truth of who we are and what we're here to do and to be. We celebrate each other. We celebrate our spiritual home. We celebrate those who are the leaders in the church. And we especially celebrate those who join together at this moment in love, peace, and joy as the unified body of the church. Just as early Christians relied on each other during times of challenge, we also rely on each other, knowing that there is always a helpful hand and a loving heart just a moment away. We're grateful for all of those who make our connections possible, even when we can't physically be present with each other. It's an amazing gift for us all. We're grateful for all those who support the church with their attendance at virtual services, at meetings, and for those who support the church with their tithes and their talents and their time. And we are grateful for the love that binds us all together. Together with this binding love, we are strong. For joy and peace and everlasting love, we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Well, welcome to the evolving services at Unity Church of Temple. This is the 2020 version. Service doesn't look like it did 3 months ago, or 3 weeks ago, or even a few days ago. And with all those changes and the differences, there might be a lot of feelings around that. With changes, with unexpected things that come up, there are a lot of feelings. All these feelings can be deep and can be intense, especially when it's something not of our choosing. But you know, I've been thinking a lot about Jesus and the disciples since Holy Week started, and thinking about that last week of Jesus' life and just how the disciples had expectations, they had plans, and things didn't go the way they planned either. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing what happened 2,000 years ago with what's happening now. Completely different. But I am saying that it's not unusual for us to have grieving and sorrow and unhappiness and anxiety when things don't go the way we think they're going to. The title of the talk today is Faith, Hope, and Courage, and I'm sure you all know what those words mean, but I want to share with you the metaphysical meaning of the words. The metaphysical meaning of the word hope is the expectation of good in the future, off in the future. It's a quality, is good as far as it goes, of sense mind because it is subject to time. Talking about something we're hoping now will happen in the future. And the metaphysical meaning of faith, which is one of the 12 powers as taught by our Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. Faith is the certain knowledge. This is a big difference here. It's the certain knowledge that our good is ours right now. It is of God. It goes beyond time and space. And lastly, the metaphysical meaning of the word courage, a spiritual quality that enables one to remain poised and centered in God amidst great difficulties and danger. The realization that the God of the universe is a spiritual presence which is constantly striving to express in and through us. So we start out talking about hope, which is an expectation. We move on to faith, which is certain knowledge. And then we follow it up with courage, which suggests that hope and faith are unshakable, can be unshakable even during difficult times and danger. I can't think of anything more difficult and more dangerous than what Jesus and the disciples were going through that last week of Jesus' life. Imagine, if you will, Palm Sunday, when everyone was so excited. There was so much adulation, so much joy, because finally the Messiah was coming into Jerusalem, somebody they had been waiting for centuries, and they thought the promise was being fulfilled. So not only were the people joyful and excited, the disciples thought, okay, this is it, this is our time. And if you look through the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, no matter which version of the Bible you look in, they have similar stories. They're not all exactly the same. Some of the timelines are different. Some of the details are different. But we do know that they're very similar. So I've gone back and I've reread some of these, just looking and trying to pull out and imagine the feelings that were going on. And since these books of the Bible were written by Jewish writers later after Jesus had died, 40 years after he died, and over a period of time, we don't have exact details. We don't have he said, she said, and know those to be precise truth, because none of the authors of the four Gospels were actually there. All of these stories were passed down. And so I won't say it's hearsay, but they are stories that are passed down. One learned scholar writes, if there is any fact about Jesus' life that we know to be absolute true, broad consensus amongst all scholars, religious and secular, we know that Jesus was alive, was a great teacher, and did die and was crucified. We know that without a doubt. Some of the details in the Gospels we don't know or can't be proven as exact fact, but we do have a lot of history around those. So all the accounts are different in the Gospels. What you pull out, as you read through them, what you can pull out is that the feelings were about the same. We also know there's a book called Killing Jesus that was written by secular writers, and we know that the facts in that book are absolute truth. And again, we can only guess what some of the feelings were, but we can just imagine what it must have been like that last week of Jesus' life. So we know that the triumphal entry into Jerusalem happened. We know that everyone must have been full of hope, full of joy, so excited, and we know that whether it was the day after or sometime during that week, we also know that Jesus went into the temple and turned over the tables of the money changers, because he said, this is a place of worship. This is not a place of commerce. Angry, angry, angry. And can you imagine what the disciples must have thought? Oh my gosh, here's our gentle teacher who is so angry that he's turning over the tables, chasing the money lenders out. And then the next day he even calls them snakes. He said, this is a place of worship, and you are all snakes. Another surprise for the disciples. Their world was getting turned end over end, topsy-turvy. What must they have thought? So Jesus, over the course of the week, interacted with the disciples. Imagine that Thursday when the Last Supper happened, and what another joyful time. And it was a time of coming together. Passover was happening. But then Jesus tells them that one of you is going to betray me. And, oh, by the way, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. What must they have thought? What must it felt like? What were their feelings around that? It's hard to imagine. So from there, of course, things seem to unravel and not go as was expected. What Jesus knew had to happen or was going to happen, but not what the disciples, not the people that had been following him and lived around him, thought. This was not what they planned. This is not what they had chosen. They didn't want it to go down this way. Jesus knew the end of the story, but they didn't, and they didn't want to believe it. Where might their hope have gone to? How about their faith? Do you imagine their faith could have been diminished or lessened? And courage? Well, it seems like pretty much all of them ran away in one way or another, either literally or metaphorically, to the point of Peter even denying that he knew Jesus. So in reading all of the 4 Gospels, it seemed like to me that hope and faith were sort of out the window. We might even feel the same way now. Why is this happening to us? Why me? Why us? Why now? Will things ever get back to normal? Will things change? Will they be the same? And what is normal? Our world has been upended as well, and it's understandable to sometimes have lost that feeling of hope and maybe even faith. Maybe faith. But this is where we have to dig deep, and dig deep we must. It seems like we have to go deeper than ever before, looking for hope, looking for joy, looking for that place of faith, knowing that God is here. There's nothing but God here. Jesus had to do the same thing. He was in anguish, knowing what was coming. He had to do the same thing. And then there's courage to continue. For us, courage to get up for another day, courage to do it all over again, courage to stay at home, courage to really dig deep. A few summers ago, a friend and I went to Costa Rica, and we did one of those zip line things through the canopy through the trees, and she wasn't so excited about doing it. I wanted to do it. And I thought, well, if I listen carefully to the person giving us instruction, surely I'll know what to do and I'll be safe. So I feel pretty good about this. The whole time she kept thinking, no, I should probably stay in the coffee shop. Something tells me I shouldn't be doing this. She was scared, but her courage was waning. Now, a lot of people these days say that courage is being fearful, facing your fears, and doing it anyway. Well, I'm not sure I totally agree with that. I think having the courage to carry on, it's important for us to dig deep within ourselves and think, is this mine to do? being mindful about what the situation is, what is ours to do. Is this something that's beneficial for us? And if we do it anyway, does it make sense? So the disciples had followed Jesus for 3 years or so, and their faith and courage were pretty shaky during this final week. They'd given up everything to follow him, and it was all being taken away in the matter of a few days. They were like a ship without a rudder. Some would say that those shaky beliefs had to play out just as they did, had to play out as Jesus knew they would, in order for the greater good to occur. So likewise, we can be sort of empathetic with ourselves when we feel a little shaky or feel not so hopeful, and our faith is shaky, and maybe we don't have the courage because things are rocky. And so being empathetic with ourselves, giving ourselves the presence and the grace just to be where we are day to day to day. How can we endure it? How is it possible? It's okay to question that. It's certainly okay. But the universe conspires for our greatest good, always has and always will. Things may not go exactly as we expect them, exactly as we plan, exactly as we hope, but we do have the faith to know that there's nothing but God here, and the universe and God are conspiring for our greatest good. And maybe, just maybe, there is something special to come out of this, whether it's recognizing the need to slow down, whether it's looking at how can we spend our day with our loved ones in a more tender and close way, just looking inside ourselves. And we do rely on our faith at this time because it is the certain knowledge that the good is ours right now. It's of God, it is God, and it goes beyond time and space. And through this, we have courage where we're poised and centered in God in the midst of all the great difficulties and dangers. Courage in times where things aren't going as originally planned causes us to do much more than hope, causes us to dig deep and be introspective and look at our faith and know with certainty that there's nothing but God here, there's nothing but good here. Of that we can be certain, and I know we can do it. So let's settle in for a moment of meditation. If you would like, you can close your eyes, or you can just relax for a moment and do a little deep breathing exercise that you can do during meditation or anytime during the day. And that's breathing in on a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Let it out, 2, 3, 4. Do that again. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Let it out, 2, 3, 4. And as we relax into a time of peace, let's focus on our inner knowing, that personal voice that is ours, leading us, guiding us, assuring us that all is well, that voice that tells us we can do this, that the inner knowledge is the presence of God within us, the divine substance which goes beyond all time and space. It's right at this moment and is every moment of the day. That substance is always there and is good, the one power and the one presence in the universe, God the good, centered in us and through us. It's never absent. We're never without that presence. It is there for our comfort and to provide absolute perfection in all outcomes. We know that to be true, and that's more than hope. That is faith. That is faith, my friends. And in knowing this, we will endure. And so it is, and so we let it be. God bless.
Now we come to the time in our service to give back to be able to support this ministry who supports us with love and inspiration. Please hold in your hand the gift that you would like to give today, be it something in physical form or just a thought. Hold it in mind as we repeat our offertory blessing together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I receive, all that I have, and all that I am. For God is my source, and abundance is my nature. And now that we've said our offertory statement, let's send a blessing forth to this, to Unity of Temple, to meet all its needs with abundance and gratitude. And as you are doing so now, you may go online at http://unityoftemple.org/donations/ and make your donation there. It should be easy to find on your website. The address is at the bottom of the screen. We appreciate and are grateful gratitude for all your gifts to help continue our ministry, even though we are not within our walls this time. We still have bills to pay. So we appreciate your generosity and gratitude, and we see you blessed and abundant in this time as well. Amen. And now let us join together as we say the prayer for protection, knowing that we are one, connected heart to heart, heart to mind, even though we are not physically together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Have a great week, a great Holy Week, and happy Palm Sunday. Namaste.
You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter. You're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father. You're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is